Hi there, it's time to use the Wyckoff lens to look at what's happening to Bitcoin and what's coming. And if you're new to my sessions, these are the 3 things that I will cover. So let's start with the weekly chart of Bitcoin. Here, this sign of weakness has already been confirmed just this week. So the next stage would potentially be an LPSY, meaning a little bounce back to here. Alright, so that's potentially going to happen, not that it's a must, because if we look across to the left hand side just this year February, what happened over here was very narrow range sideways trading after the initial drop, and then further decline continues. So that's why my view remains that there is likely a lower level sign of weakness coming at around 74k. But having said that, this chance of getting bouncing up may not be an upwards of the distribution. It can just be a second test. Remains is chance, even though it's slim. Okay, it can bounce up, and who knows what news are going to come out in the end of the year or beginning of next year. That's where the chance comes in. Okay, so this is how the situation looks like from the big picture point of view. Bitcoin has already fallen outside of this uptrend, this green box, and like I shared before, this declining trend has clearly indicated that the declining momentum has clearly indicated something like this is about to happen. Now let's get to the daily chart and see what the price actions are telling us. This is of lower chance. What's happening right now is that we're still having a question whether we have seen the selling climax yet. Okay, we're in the middle of a downward leg. We may be going through just the preliminary support stage. And today's candle showed us, while there is a bit of buying the dip, pushing the price back above the 91k level, however, this purple dashed line clearly providing some resistance right now. You see the wick or the head of the candle stopped at the purple line. This line is basically the level we took reference from the left side, these trading activities. When the price were above, obviously this is a support, but now that it's below, it's showing resistance. Okay, also one thing. Since we're in the red downward channel, and the past few days has basically pushed the price or pushed the trading range towards the weaker side, the lower side of the channel. Alright? And I don't want to move the line. This is the center line of the box. If it continues at the weaker side, this is expected to continue. So that's why the selling climax may not have been confirmed yet. And if it is really is selling climax today, let's say if it is, then what's expected next is an automatic rally, meaning a bounce up. However, it has to go outside of this downward channel in order to show a change in trend. May it be sideways trading or re-climb to a certain level. Okay. Here, there are a few points depending on where it's continued to go trade. Okay? This line, the ceiling of the downward trend, together with this blue line, the blue key level of 91k, points to somewhere near December 20th. If the price continues to trade sideways, staying above the blue line, that's a potential point or timing that a breakout is getting closer and closer. Okay? It's still a month from now. Unless the price rebounds to this level, then it's got multiple opportunities based on the previous intermediate levels to break outside of this downtrend. Okay, if it all fails, this is the very key point of confirmation whether a trend change is appearing. If not, if it bounces back to the weaker side of things, which may happen because in the accumulation, selling climax isn't necessarily the lowest point, okay, even though it's called a selling climax. There can be lower levels after the selling climax, alright? And last time, I'm not talking about like a year or 2 years ago, just this April, about 7 months ago, the 74K range was tested. Okay, if this downtrend continues, that's where it's heading to. And the breakout timing then will be near the end of January. This white line over here is the ceiling of the long-term playground zone. So if we go back to the weekly chart, it'll be easy to see what this zone looks like. It basically tracks Bitcoin from the very early days, about 8.5 years ago, that Bitcoin has been within this long-term uptrend. Okay, only very limited time, about 10-20% of the time, the price was trading outside of this box. So it's not a surprise that it's going to go back to this area and continue to trade for a while to accumulate before it pushes back up. So that's a thing that's totally possible. Even though a lot of people said with all the regulation changes or ETFs being issued, institutions coming in, that's going to change the base price of Bitcoin. I don't think that's the case. It's not as simple as that. I shared in many other sessions, institutions getting in has a lot of complication because they have to calculate their risk within their whole asset portfolio. So it's not like they say they want to get in and they can get it. Like what the larger, most famous companies that has voted among the shareholders whether to add Bitcoin to their reserve, and the results, right? So unless that's changed, otherwise institution getting in is more like a narrative than a reality. So that's all for Bitcoin for now. It's still, in my view, heading towards a sign of weakness, a deeper level. But in the meantime, there may be a little bit of rebound for the next week or two. So let's hope it doesn't get too bad within 2025, but it won't be a surprise if it gets to the mid 70,000 range. So thanks for joining me. See you in future.